Hi, I am developing my dream game, and my dream game basically it's a deck builder with strategy where you can deploy your troops, build your strategy and fight enemies until you become strong enough to challenge gods. So it will be strategy, deck builder, mythology based game. Today I'll be sharing few updates in my games. I created an idle animation, I created an attack animation, and I added the battle system. So now we can attack, damage, our troops can get also damage and have a very simple dying animation. And also I'll be showing a bug that was happening while the attack animation was happening, was the damage was all messed up. So I'll dive into that as well. And then we discuss as well what will be the next steps for our game here. First, I'll talk about the idle animation. Basically, this is my first sprite, the image on the left. Is my first image, that's the base image of my troop. This is the Spartan troop, but I'm using it just as an average spearman troop. Spartan is supposed to be a stronger troop in the game, but we will have also simple spearmen. The only unit I have is the Spartan for now. And I'm pretty proud of how I did the art for the Spartan here, because I'm terrible at doing art, but I'm kind of proud of what I've did here so far. And for the idle animations, basically, I have this sprite sheet here, just with 2 frames. I just changed it a little bit. When we playing the animation, we change a little bit. Here is my spearman that I'm using for then the assets of the Spartan. And this is the spearman scene where I have the animations for our troop here. Here's the idle animation with the 2 frames. If I play it, you can see there, it's just like it's moving a little bit, lynching a bit forward, and I show you how it behaves in the games. You can see here on the game the troop moving while it's idle. This is in the right, there is the enemy. The only unit in the game is the Spartans. Either for me to use or for the enemy to use will be the same. So I can deploy my Spartan here, and you see we'll be doing the idle animation. It's a very simple idle animation, but I'm going simple at the start here. I'm not great at doing art. I have to go simple so I can progress. I'm good at developing the game and implementing the mechanics, but on the art, that's where it's hard for me, but I'm trying, and I will continue trying and try to improve as I go forward with the game. I went with a similar strategy here with the attack animations. How works the attack animation? Again, same thing. I did this sprite sheet with the frames, also the animation of just 2 frames, a very simple animation. But you can see here, I just got the base image that I drew of the Spartan and modified so it look like he's going forward and attack with the spear. And here at the godot, if I play the animation, you can see there are 2 frames, and you can see while the animation is playing, he's doing the attack. And it feels good actually, for a 2-frame animation, feels good. I actually like it. And what I also did, I implemented the attack, and what I also did, I implemented the battle system. Now the troop can attack, take damage, apply damage, and eventually even die. But at first, when I implemented this, was a bit buggy, wasn't good. The unity there, it was supposed to have, you see, in 2 attacks it dies. It's supposed to, each attack was supposed to deal 1 of damage, and each unit was supposed to have 5 of health points. But with 2 attacks was already killing the unit, and wasn't how it's supposed to be. It was a bit buggy, it was a bit weird, and I was trying to get it right because in terms of logic, it seemed like it was right on my code, that it was supposed to do it properly. But because the way it would call the animation, and would call the animation and apply the damage. So the code seems to be right because there was a sequence there. I would apply the damage and would have a cooldown and then play the attack animation. But because the attack animation takes basically 1 second, it would do the attack again while the animation is playing. Multiple attacks could be happening. It was a bit buggy. It's not the right way to do an animation. I'm kind of new at GameDev. I'm a software engineer at my job, but As game dev, I'm new at this. There's some ways to do things in the game that's better than just going with a simple logic, just a linear logic. Especially when you're doing a linear logic, in a case of animation, you have to count with cooldowns and might be a bit buggy and hard to get it right. But then eventually I did the right way, that's using an animation player. We have this node in Godot, that's the animation player, where you can organize your animation better. For example, I have my attack animation here on the animation player, and what I can do is like I can put the code to play the animation, and I can attach on the animation player, on the animation itself, the attack when the animation is 1 second because it's just 2 frames, and then on the middle of the animation on 0.5 seconds I then apply the hit. And this worked way better because then we'll start the animation, then apply the hit and finish the animation. This would work better on the way when the animation is playing throughout the game. Now let's play the game with all the features we have so far, and then you'll be able to see the battle system at play and also the die animation. So I could apply more troops here, but it wouldn't be fair. Let's do a fair fight here. Let's go fight! So there they go. It's a bit buggy. I explained then the things we're going to do next step, but the other guys are just back there and just the spearmen in the front are fighting. Oh, you saw the animation there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th attack, boom, they die because they have a 5 of HP and each attack deals 1 damage. I let these guys fight to the end there. So the die animation there, what I did was really simple. I just did the image to flash and then disappear. Basically that, a very simple way, like I did it programmatically. I didn't have to write, it's just in the code as I did, it would flash and disappear. Very simple, just have a twin there that will make the image flash, give it like a fade in, fade out, and it will flash, and then we'll activate the die. And the die will just remove the troop from the... Let's talk about the next steps for the game as well. First thing, we need to fix the bug that the troops should be ordered by the y-axis. If you see in the game, some troops look like they are on top of the other guy's troop head. So the troop that is higher in the y-axis should look at its behind the other troops, otherwise it will look weird. The player's unit shouldn't apply to the other player's units. For example, when I deploy my card here, you can see the troops are able to be side by side with the others, but if I press start battle, they jump. Why that? Because their collider forbids them to stay too much closer. This also won't let the troops go forward. So you see that the troops stay behind the other there, it can't go forward, so just look weird. Because they just can't walk because they are colliding with their own player's unit. It should ignore it. Other thing as well, that the card hover activates on image and not on the whole cards. For example, if I hover over here the card, you see, card doesn't show. So the hover effect is not applying just only when I put it on the top of the image. It should affect the whole card, not just the image on the card. And the image on the card is not centered, so it looks a bit weird like here. If you see the Spartans a bit to the left, should be centered. It's not big stuff, but I like to separate bit by bit because I'm doing this game on my spare time and it's complicated to, you have a full-time job and get things done after work. It's hard, so I try to split things by things. Always when I'm working something in the game, I just work in a thing specific. Today, I'm just going to do the image, fix the image not center in the card. Like I take small items. That's the approach I'm doing, the way it's being possible for me to develop the game, even though I have a full-time job that demands a lot from me. A part of the other lives, other life stuff that takes time as well. And other cool stuff for the next steps will be adding walking animation. I don't know if we need a walking animation at this stage. For example, if I play here, you see that the idol already looks like a bit walking animation. Do we need a walking animation from this prototype stage? Maybe not, you guys let me know. Add a ranged unit, that part will be very exciting because we just have one unit, just the Spartan, they're acting as an average spearman. We want a ranged unit so we can start applying a bit more strategy on the game, right? And for that I need to draw the art. I will draw the ranged unit, maybe a unit with a crossbow, not crossbow, just an archer basically, yeah, just an archer. And also, so I have to do the art and development. Since you'll be a ranged unit, you will have different mechanics. The range that the unit will identify enemies arriving will be different from the way the troops are identifying. For example, you can see here I have this attack collision. The attack collision there, when it hits, which collides with enemy, will trigger the attack animation, therefore the damage. And so for the archer, for example, that will have to be different. The range, I have to decide where I have to program everything, and also be harder stuff because I have account for the projectile, so the archer will throw and need a projectile for the arrow, and the logic how we work with the arrow. Because on the game, for example, let's pretend this is an archer there at the end of the map. When the battle starts and the archer will throw an arrow, and then but the enemy troop will be walking. How I have to do in a way that looks good and the physics works well and not just weird, so it can hit the enemy, but also they have to consider that the enemy is walking. I have to think about it while I develop, and during development I'll see how I can do this properly, but things I have to think at the moment. First I need to know what I have to do, then I have to think how to do, and eventually I do it. That's my game strategy deck builder, auto battle with mythology. So far doesn't seem very mythology, right? Because you just see the Spartans don't have a gods, don't have a mythological beast there, but we will get there step by step. We will get to this really cool part of the game. And so I'm very thankful for everyone that's watching and commenting, supporting the video so far. I'm very grateful for that, and hopefully to see you guys on the next video. Bye.